let's have a conversation.
I think I actually heard Jay-Z say it best where he says, when you go and speak to someone about, your endeavors, what you're working on, because they don't understand it, they're going to project their fear onto you. That's them being fearful of what you are about to do, because to them it's a risk that they would never ever take in their life. So here you are asking someone who has no concept about what you're doing, never actually took a risk in their life, never even walked the journey that you're on for a day. They have no idea how you got to where you are or what you've been through to get to where you are. Their immediate response is going to be based on what they would do. You can't ask somebody what they would do about your life. You have two different lives. So that's my short answer.
Good day, everybody. Happy Sunday. Well, it's kind of day where I'm at. It's 4:05 p.m. Eastern time. And happy Sunday. If it's Sunday for you, happy Sunday for most of my viewers. We are in similar time zones, similar enough that it would be the same day, but I know some time zones are not. But the point is, whatever day it is for you, I hope that you are having an excellent one. I wanted to talk a little bit about a lesson that I learned for myself pretty recently. So for me, I always say this about myself. I'm very self-aware. And that means I am aware of when I do good. I'm aware of when I do bad. I'm just aware of whatever it is that I'm doing the vast majority of the time. So a lot of people don't want to admit everybody has good and bad, and everybody does good and bad things. I fully admit I do things that are good sometimes, and I do things that are bad sometimes. But here's here's the thing with that. When I do things that are not good, as in when I enter into something with bad or ill intent, it's typically because something has pushed me to that point. You could come and ask me, "Hey, Mark, did you do this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I did." And someone might be surprised. That's not like you. Why would you do that? Well, because such and such happened before that and led me to a point where I just wanted to do this. Or I could just be being petty. I didn't like this particular thing that was done or said, and everything has a equal or opposite reaction type thing. But the point of the matter is, when I do something that is wrong or bad, I know that two wrongs don't make a right type thing, and you're never like justified in doing somebody wrong. However, I will definitely say to y'all that there are times when, based on the reason why I'm doing something, I sleep just fine at night. I don't harbor any sort of guilt because I'm like, this was earned and this was deserved. I have examples of that. I do. I do have examples of that. Maybe that's for another day. But I met a rare instance because being somebody with that much self awareness, it's rare that you hurt or offend somebody unintentionally. And I mean, anybody can be hurt or offended because you don't know. You could walk in to somebody's house and you could be wearing red gloves on your hands, and red gloves could trigger some kind of memory or be some kind of cultural thing. Excuse me. That's not really the kind of wrong that I mean. The type of wrong that I'm referring to is an avoidable wrong where you at any point in time could have realized, and in retrospect you do realize where you were wrong, and you're like thinking back to this process and you're thinking back, hey, I should have recognized this and been able to tell that this was going to hurt somebody or this was going to upset somebody. And in those instances, then it makes it totally different, because now in my case, if you're somebody whose moral compass is generally pretty good, now you hold something called guilt. And guilt does not even depend on whether the other person forgives you or not. Somebody can tell you, I forgive you, it's not a problem. And you could still hold that feeling of guilt because you're like, man, I should have seen this coming, or I could have done better. And this is where forgiving yourself comes into play. Everybody is a person that is capable of making mistakes in this life. Everybody is a person who will make mistakes in this life. I believe that we are what we do more often than not. There's not one thing that we do that can just erase a lifetime of other things that we've done. And again, I have examples, but to tell you the truth, with social media, YouTube, and things like that, I used to be more just forthcoming with everything that just comes to mind. But because of things that have happened in the past and things that I was surprised that were just used in certain ways that I didn't expect them to be used, I now think twice before I actually provide examples of certain things. And this is one case, because the two examples that came to my mind are not necessarily things I might want to say on my YouTube page. But yeah, I've had instances where either I was forgiven or I was not forgiven, and then I harbored a guilt, saying like, Mark, why, how did you end up in this situation? You are never in these types of situations. What's up with that? What's wrong? And recently, I learned that there's no point in holding on to things that you have done, especially unintentionally, when you know what your character is, when you know generally you are a person of integrity and a person of good intent. So all you can do is just ask for the forgiveness. Whether you get it or not is irrelevant. It's relevant. I mean, you're going to care whether somebody says you're forgiven or not, especially if it's somebody you care about. But even if they don't, even if they say, no, I don't rock with you anymore, I don't like you anymore, I don't want to speak to you anymore, um, you still have to be able to look in the mirror and say to yourself, hey, I made an error. I'm human. I have recognized my error. I've asked whatever party or parties for forgiveness for my actions, whatever that may be. And now the last thing is, I forgive myself for doing that. And something that we see in the culture, when I say the culture, I just really mean the world right now. Especially if, let's say, we're looking at celebrities who do things that are wrong. We'll see many cases of two individuals that we watch on TV. We've never met them before in life. We have no relationship with them in life. But we see one celebrity wrong another celebrity. And all these people are demanding an apology, even though it has nothing to do with them. And then if you see them say, hey, I apologized to the other party, people are like, oh, well, you should hold on to this forever because you did this and this and this, and this should not be forgiven. See, and that's where the self forgiveness comes into place. If you're depending on the other person, the other parties, or public perception, and whether they say you're forgiven, you could probably sit in the same rut for a very long time, if not forever. So you have to get to a point where you're like, yes, I made the error, but I have fully taken accountability for what I said or did. I have let the other party know, if that's an option. Sometimes it's not even an option to access the other party to be able to speak to them directly. But if you do find yourself in the instance that you are able to let the other party know, you let the other party know. And now you are able to tell yourself, hey, as much as I wish that I could live a mistake free life where I never hurt anybody, I always think of things before they happen. Um, that's not realistic. So I forgive myself for this mistake that I made, and I am willing to move on. I'm ready to move on. And honestly, that can take a huge weight off of you. It has for me in both instances where I was forgiven by the other party and instances where I was not forgiven by the other party. I could live with myself in both instances. It took some time being, an empath, but that's my message about learning to forgive yourself. Let me know in the comments if you've experienced something like this, what your thoughts are, agree, disagree, whatever it is. And also, please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe and hit the notification bell for when I drop some more great content. Thank you all for your support. And it's Sunday, so enjoy the rest of your day. For those who work bright and early Monday morning like me, fill yourself with as much positivity as you can before your workday starts. And because we get depleted of it all week, so we need to build it up as much as we can during our off times. And I hope everyone has an amazing day, and we will talk again soon.